think I found what I need. Alright, now I'm prepared. Sorta. I still have to give my disclosure about how many people actually know that I exist, and then we're good to go. I can start reading, continuing reading this lovely story for everyone. Laundry day is where I left off, April 4th. It was Monday, and Lorena found herself occupied with the arduous task of doing the laundry. The housekeeper, Miss Alicia Smith, had stripped a pile of bedsheets from the innumerable unnecessary guest rooms in Bly. These sheets had not been slept in for years, and Lorena doubted they would be put to use in the immediate future. Why then did she have to wash them? To the young maid, it seemed like nothing more than pointless busywork. Miss Smith's orders, however, were absolute. The washing was always done on Mondays. Miss Smith, I wonder if it's Smith or it's like Smythe or something. That E at the end is throwing me off. I'm gonna say Miss Smith. I'm gonna ignore the E, pretend it's silent. Was a stickler for it. It was an unwritten rule at Bly. Though perhaps it was not so unwritten after all, because Miss Smith had read about it in Estelle Wood's popular practical housekeeping guide. In any event, Lorena had managed to progress to the third stage of the long, laborious chore. She was boiling the linens in soapy water, stirring them with a wooden stick. I just realized I don't have my VTuber avatar up. That's like the only thing wrong with this stream, so give me a moment. Even though my VTuber avatar is pretty basic anyway, but you know, it's fun to see a dude on screen like talking and stuff. Alright, so this is that. He's moving as he should. I wonder if it'll show up now that the stream's already live. I mean, I see it. He's literally floating in the middle, Jesus. That was because of the last video that I filmed, where I talked about manga. So let me drag him back to his proper position. I think I could make him a little smaller. I think I may have also made him giganticus last time. Okay, here we go. Now I think we are fully prepared. Bro, this is Taihan. You like Taihans? Was expecting more from you. Bro, what's Taihan? Are you talking about the old DBZ game? This isn't even Dragon Ball, bro. Lorena sighed deeply. It didn't make her feel any better. Have you been streaming, Light? I go on Twitch like twice a day. And if I see someone streaming, I'll watch. But usually it's nothing exciting happening. I did find Shinu today. I found Shinu streaming, so I watched him earlier. And I had a lot of fun talking to him. But usually there's like nobody streaming. It's like, you know what? I just realized today's Friday. Jesus Christ. I wanted to watch Fable on Tuesday. And then, you know. I mean, to be fair, I think I fell asleep before she even started streaming on both Tuesday and Thursday. But I did want to watch her, and then I forgot days of the week. I think she streams again tomorrow. So after I'm done watching anime tomorrow, with Mallet, then I could watch Fable, I believe. I'm gonna ping her later, see if she's streaming tomorrow, because otherwise I'll forget. Alright, no, I quit. Did you quit? I feel like you quit. Because I never see you whenever I look online to see who's online. I never see you. And there's a few other people that I haven't caught. A lot of people just stream when I'm asleep, though. Like, DL, like, rarely streams, but when she does stream, I'm asleep. Neko streams when I'm asleep. Everyone streams when I'm asleep. I don't know. This would be far easier if she had help. But Pauline, who was supposed to aid her, had swaned off a good 20 minutes or so ago. Lorena had no idea when, or indeed if, she would return. At Pauline, she was always shirking her duties, all the while complaining about how very hard she worked. Lorena would like to give her a taste of her own medicine. If only she could become an avenging Valkyrie. Already ending stream? Dang. But alas, she was just a maid. Who's ending stream? What? She gritted her teeth together. The smell of the boiled linens assaulted her nostrils. It wasn't particularly pleasant. Maybe you sleep when they stream? Bro, I go to sleep around, like, for the most part, around 7 or 8 for East Coast Americans. So that's pretty early for Americans. And that's why I miss things. I used to stay up much longer. What's going on, 99 senpai? 99, bro. You missed when I did 200 Genshin rolls? That stream was freaking lit, bro. Oh yeah, you know, 99, I don't know how many rolls I'm gonna do. I'm guessing over 100, but my next big one is gonna be, I heard Ayaka is next. Is that true? Is Ayaka next? If Ayaka's coming next, I'm gonna roll for Ayaka on Asia and Europe, but on Americas, I'm gonna roll for her weapon. Cause I want her sword, dude. I want her sword. The sword that I have right now for her is great, and she could deal like 40 to 50k damage sometimes. But I think if I got the official Ayaka sword, then I don't know, man. I think I would see some gains. When are we playing Genshin, 99? When do you have free time, bro? My team is OP now. I got the Ganyu pretty much maxed. I got a lot of OPs. Curse Pauline for being so incredibly infuriatingly useless. Honestly, though, my most fun account right now that I'm having a lot of fun on is Europe, just because there's so much to build. I gotta build, like, freaking Fischl, Zhongling, like, everybody. Bro, I gave Fischl the Rustabow, I think, on Americas and Europe. On Asia, she still has Stringless. And then I gave my Rust Asia to Yoimiya. Bro, Rust is freaking awesome, dude. Cause like everybody's normal attack usually sucks, cause it's usually like under 100% even if you max it. But then when you got that extra 40% from Rust, dude, now you're talking. Ayaka, Venti, Kazuha. Wait, is Kazuha coming? Is there gonna be a Kazuha rerun? Is it both Ayaka and Kazuha at the same time? Uni, Genshin, Nari, studying. That's my whole schedule. That means you literally have free time. Genshin is the free time where we could both Genshin when you're Genshining. But yeah, that is a tight schedule. Like I do the bare minimum. Oh, I see. Yeah, you just get the primos and you out. That makes sense. That's kinda like that's basically what I do in Americas and Asia. In Europe, I have more content that I could get through, but yeah, there's pretty much no free time. Starting next week, I got 2 jobs for next week. Because I got my virtual tutoring and I'm doing an in-person camp thing, like spring camp with, it's like a sports camp for the kids. So I'm getting busier too. I got more work, making a little more money. I've been exercising more, going for long walks and stuff, you know. Yeah, everything's been good. I'm glad you're also happy, 99, and enjoying all the things you're doing. See, Rust is OP. Rust, you know, I underestimated it. I do think, though, that, like, for certain characters, if you get Stringless, I think Stringless is better. Because right now I have a Refinement 2 Stringless for Fischl in Asia, and it gives 30% bonus to her Elemental Skill and Elemental Burst. So that's pretty good for, like, support stuff, you know? Why was she always charged with the most physically draining of tasks? I'm looking for a part-time right now. Yeah, I basically have 2 part-times. I feel like if you have part-time work, you have to have 2 jobs. Because 1 job part-time is not enough. That's the sad thing. You either gotta get a full-time job or like 2 part-time jobs. What job are you hoping to get, 99? I know that all of my friends are looking for like new jobs. Even if they're working right now, they want to switch jobs. So I know Cop Friend is looking for new work. paralegal friend is looking for new work. I think one of my female friends got a recent promotion, but prior to that, she wanted to find new work. I'm always looking for better work. But yeah, everybody's like moving, looking for new jobs. Everybody's changing things up. Maybe it was because she was still the new girl. Maybe it was because of Pauline's underhanded dealings. Maybe it was Lady Constance didn't like her. Maybe it was a mix of all three. But there was also the rumors to take into account. They couldn't have helped. Perhaps this was supposed to be some sort of punishment. Everyone seemed to know what had transpired between Lorena and the Pickering family, even Lady Constance. And speaking of which, I don't know, I'm just looking, I guess. That's true. That's good, keeping your options open. Anything with decent pay, yeah. That's what my cop friend was noticing, that he said a lot of jobs that he saw available weren't paying the right amount based on like levels of education and things like that. So he was saying that like a lot of jobs are underpaying, bad pay. I just noticed that my avatar is dying. Nobody told me. It literally looks like he's having a seizure. I think I saved him, but if he keeps spazzing out, I might have to just get rid of him. Might not, because last time he was working pretty smooth, but this time he's not working smooth. Are you enjoying yourself, Megan? Have you done any rolls, 99? What are the banners that you're most excited about? It seems like you're excited about everything. I recommend Ayaka though, instead of Kazuha, because Ayaka is the freaking damage dealer. Kazuha's like kind of fun. I do like that you could transition from his elemental skill into a what do you call those like downward attacks? I forgot what they're called. They have a very specific name, but like those like downward impact strikes, like that's pretty cool, but Ayaka's better, man. What's going on, Toby? Toby, did you see my message? I tried to message you in Genshin, but I don't think you saw it, and then I logged off. But I added you today, and I tried to see what you were up to earlier. Where I go and what I do in my spare time is of no concern to you. I suppose it isn't, no. What you do with your time, however, is a concern of mine. It concerns me greatly. Are you working, or are you just standing there? I was taking a short break, miss. My arm started to hurt. Your arms hurt? Oh, how terrible. I am so sorry your arms hurt. This is your job, maid. I have no sympathy for you or your complaints. Lorena could believe that quite easily. Now, I must be on my way, but if you think about taking another ill-deserved break, I gotta say, this girl's a brat, but I kinda like that. I don't know. I kinda like the drama, you know? I feel like her drama spices up the story a little bit. It gives us a problem to overcome. You got Ayato? Ayato is pretty OP. Like, I did the test run 3 times, because, you know, 3 accounts. And I was really enjoying his elemental skill. That freaking fast, swoosh, 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 swoosh. His elemental burst, his ult is, like, okay, but the elemental skill is fire, bro. You're gonna go for Kazuha? Dang, what happened, bro? Ayaka's... Come on, man. Not Ayaka, what the heck? You know what will happen, don't you? I have a vague idea, miss. Good, then you're not as stupid as you look. And with a selfish little smirk, the young mistress turned and picked her way through the rose garden. It looked like she was searching for something, but what? Lorena watched with mild interest, her lips pursed together. Well... like Lady Constance has said, it was none of her business, really. 5th of April. Haha, oh no, I didn't notice. Yeah, I don't blame you. Like, I rarely use the in-game chat feature. And then, you know, every now and then, like, if somebody happens to be online and they send me a message, I see it, but... nobody really sends messages in Genshin anyway. But I gave it a shot. I was like, you know what? Let me see if Toby will respond to this. I gave him Water Boy stuff. Wait, you gave him Shinkyu stuff? Does that mean Shinkyu is out? Oh, did my guy just dip? My avatar, I just saw it dip as if he was like, Jesus, picking up money he saw on the floor or something. I gave him at talent 0, he's OP? Dang. Dang, that actually sounds pretty dope. Not gonna lie, I do want Ayato, but I'm gonna skip, bro. Cause Ayaka, bro, like, dude, I have to, bro. I have to. Plus, Ayaka is ice. And, you know, you always need better ice characters. Hydro, I feel like Hydro is something I don't use too much. And I do have some decent Hydro characters now. But ice, you always need more ice. I don't like the new dude. You don't like Ayato? Come on, bro. Ayato's dope. Did you do the test run again, Toby, if you haven't already, and focus on his elemental skill and how awesome it is. The elemental skill is what makes him the man. Lori, have you heard the news? What news? Lorena, who had divested herself of her maid's garments and was in the midst of folding them, glanced over her shoulder and looked at Ada. I like how my guy keeps dipping as if he's like trying to avoid being seen by a cop car. This freaking VTuber avatar is losing it today. Ada was sitting on the edge of her bed, still in her uniform. Her brown hair was tied into two stumpy braids that rested against her shoulders. Though Ada had worked at Bly for longer than Lorena, and had subsided on paltry meals for several years, her facial features had always been rounded. She was short of stature, shorter even than Lorena, with a flat nose, rotund cheeks, and plump thighs. Plump thighs, guys. I go for the waifus. I mean, I also go for the waifus. I am skipping these two husbando banners. But even though I only go for the waifus, I can give the proper respect to this OP husbando. I can't take credit away from him. He is pretty dope. Pauline and Isabel frequently teased her about it, and one of the footmen, a smug man with a rakish, wicked look called Ada, Miss Piglet, whenever she was within earshot. Obviously, we don't say Traveler. Please don't say Traveler. Don't say any freebies. But assuming that you've rolled for some characters or something, and you've gotten some, you know, special characters, event banner characters and all that, who are some of your favorite characters that you have that you can play as right now, Toby? You know what? If you don't have any and you have the free, add the freebies. Who are your favorite characters to play as? But hopefully you got someone unique-ish. Lorena, however, thought Ada's outward appearance suited her personality to a T. Her body was soft and warm, just like she was. This will probably sound silly, but last night, or for a few nights actually, I've been hearing some strange noises. Strange noises? Like what? It's hard to explain. Footsteps, I suppose. Is that so? Lisa-Lot, who had been combing her long hair, set the brush aside and chipped in excitedly. I have been hearing much the same. It has quite disturbed my beauty sleep. You know what they say. What do they say? No rest for the wicked. You think the source of these noises may be wicked? Oh my. Do you think perhaps it is a ghost? I hope not. I mean, I've never seen a ghost before, but I've heard they're quite scary. How marvelous! I hope I win, not gonna lie. You hope you win Kazuha banner? Alright, let me tell you my stats right now, 99. My stats as I remember them. So, on America's, I'm gonna roll for Ayaka's weapon. I know for a fact that I'm 27 into pity. So, if I could get about 60 rolls by then, which I don't think will be possible, maybe I could get about 40-ish by then. Maybe I have a shot at getting Ayaka's weapon. I don't know, we'll see. On Asia, I'm gonna roll for Ayaka. And I should have a lot of pity. I should have at least 40 or more pity there. So I could very well get her on Asia, if I'm lucky, if they don't screw me and give me, like, Diluc or something. And then on Europe, I think I have about 20 pity. I think I have about 20 pity. And maybe I could whip up around 30 rolls by then. Maybe 30 to 40. So it's like it's not a high chance. I think I have a decent chance at Ayaka's weapon on Americas, and a very good chance at getting Ayaka on Asia. And Europe is probably the only place where I might fail completely by a long shot. I just got Beidou, but she's pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of people say good things about Beidou. I have her max constellation on Americas, C6. But I don't use her on any of my accounts. I don't use her, unfortunately. Because ghosts are so very romantic, you see. I'm afraid I don't follow. How can you not? You are English. Your country is renowned for its ghost stories, yes? I think it's a lot of nonsense myself. I mean, you know. Listen. She's saying England got a lot of ghost stories. And for those of you who remember the old Nico Jiyuu Twitch streams back when we were, you know, Azure Cloud Aria and Chaos Cloud, I used to tell a lot of good ghost stories, I think. I had the ghost story redeem. So, there's something to be said about that. That's accurate. I'ma do what I get usually works. I'ma do what I get usually works. Dang. So you think you have the highest RNG among us. You think you're the RNG god. I see how it is. Perhaps, but imagine, to love life so much, you cannot stand to be parted from it. Even when your body goes cold. Is that not wonderful? When was the last time you got a new character? Like a new 5-star character or weapon that you got? What was like your latest piece of excitement, so to speak? Lieselot, with her Swiss sensibilities, had quite a curious understanding of the word wonderful. I've heard many ghost stories in my time, but to experience a haunting in person, oh, that would be divine. I could ask for nothing more. I can guarantee you it would not be divine. I have friends who have experienced some of the worst hauntings in person, and if they talk about it, they still get like visibly like freaking cold, goosebumps and everything. Like they go cold. You don't want to experience a real haunting. I mean, some of them are pretty not so scary. It's pretty basic hauntings, but a serious haunting is some it'll leave some scars, bro. Didn't get ball twice? Dude, that happened to me. Ghost stories only work 3 or 5 times. Hey, what are you trying to say? Dang, that's what happened to me though. I didn't get ball on her original banner, then we had the rerun. I didn't get ball again. And to be honest, I'm somewhat pissed about it, cause like, I was really starting to appreciate her gameplay. You got Chi-Chi in standard banner and Ayato in 5 pulls. Well, Ayato's dope, obviously. Chi-Chi, how you feel about Chi-Chi? Her healing is good, but I feel like that's the only good thing about her, which kind of sucks. Other than that, I don't know. I don't feel like she's that strong or anything. Since I got Keiching and Ball for the 2nd time, so you got C1 Kaching, huh? I don't know, is that good? What does her C1 even do? Then I'll keep my eyes peeled for any ghosts, but I'm a bit doubtful. You're so admirable, Lorena. What do you mean? You, well, Ada's cheeks flushed light pink. Thank you for taking me seriously. A lot of people don't, but that's probably my fault. I'm always imagining things, silly things, and I lose focus. Quite, you always forget to sweep the staircase properly, Ada. I'm sorry. As you should be. Mr. Lester gave me an earful about the staircases earlier, and I wasn't the one who had been assigned to clean them. But please forgive me. I shan't. My back certainly shan't, at least. I had to pick up after your mess again, and I'm getting too cold for all this malarkey. Jesus Christ. I know that word, malarkey, but I never use it. And that isn't all. It's certainly not. The carpets are still filled with dust after you beat them. Jesus Christ. And you couldn't polish your way out of a paper bag. How did you become a maid anyway? Giggle, giggle. I don't want to cause any offense. Ada bit her plump lower lip and hung her head. She looked so defeated. Lorena scowled. You don't need to apologize, Ada. Lorena? Lorena had never cared for Pauline and Isabel. Between the two of them, they were just as bad as Lady Constance. But they were not rich enough to afford their airs and graces. They were simpering and sycophantic around Mr. Lester and Miss Smith, but they were downright cruel to their fellow maids simply because they could be. In a way, perhaps they were even worse than Lady Constance. C1 Chi-Chi, my depression hit hard that day. Oh. Okay, if I got a C1 Kaching, I think I wouldn't mind, because I do like using Kaching. With Jean, I like Jean, but I don't think I need her constellations. I think Kaching is like the only standard banner character that I would want constellations for. Getting a constellation for like any other standard banner character, to me personally, is like a slap in the face. I want to get Kaching, but I already got Electro. I got Kaching on both Asia and Americas, and I could guarantee you, even if you already have Electro, you want Kaching. I think, so far from what I've seen, Kaching is the best Electro character, by far. And then, Ayaka's like, for me so far, the best Ice character. Some people might say Ganyu is better, but I have Ganyu, and Ayaka outperforms, and they're both max, they're both built very well, but Ayaka outperforms Ganyu. Dang, 99, 99. He's literally the embodiment of feels bad, man. At least she was unfailingly rude and polite to everyone, regardless of their social status. Oh, that's true. That's true. You two, Lorena rounded on Pauline and Isabel, hardly have a right to lecture Ada. Oh, what's this? Did we touch a nerve? Are you going to cry about it, Lorena? Let me drink your tears. No, I am not going to cry, but I am going to ask you to give it a rest. What a shame. You two hardly deserve to take the moral high ground when you waste so much time gossiping. If Mr. Lester gets mad at you, that's your problem. It has nothing to do with Ada. Oh, so you're trying to scold us? Is that it, Lorena? That's right. I'm scolding you because you deserve to be scolded. I treat my younger sisters exactly the same if they've done anything wrong. But Lorena, you don't need to... Oh, shush, Ada. Ada might have seen Lorena as some kind of hero, like the valiant Jean d'Arc, but that wasn't entirely true. Lorena wasn't that selfless, and she had more than a handful of her own grievances to air. You two have been difficult to work with ever since I can remember. Whenever you're meant to help me with anything, you wander off like you're too good to get your hands dirty. Where were you when we were supposed to be doing the laundry this morning, Pauline? Where exactly did you go? Pauline, for her part, looked unmoved by Lorena's anger. Instead, she smiled, smugly, her arms crossed about her middle. I received a summons from Miss Smith. She had another, more urgent task for me to attend to. That's what you say, Lorena's eyes flashed. But I don't believe you. Oh, Lorena, poor paranoid Lorena. Pauline smirked. She didn't look remotely moved by Lorena's emotional appeal. If anything, she looked even crueler than before. You just don't understand. What is it I don't understand exactly? You should be thankful that I deigned to spend time with your kind at all. After all, who would willingly consort with a slut? Oh. Oh. Jesus. I'm gonna save my standard wishes now since it's getting reworked. What do you mean? What's getting reworked about it? I haven't heard anything. What are they adding or changing? It took a week before Lorena's mother replied to her letter. During this week, Lorena attended to her daily chores in an unspeakably foul mood. Pauline's unpleasant accusation had been bad enough, but Ada's concerns over the ghost of Bly continued. The young maid was so anxious over this supernatural spectra, encouraged in part by Lieselot, that she was unable to sleep during the night, and had stolen into Lorena's bed for comfort on more than one occasion. Lorena's bed was narrow enough as it was. There was hardly enough room for one person, let alone two, but Lorena didn't have the heart to make Ada move. She was too soft for her own good. To further compound the issue, Lorena still felt anxious around the parlor maid. Taohua. Lorena skirted about her as though she was infected by a bubonic plague. Lorena didn't know why, but being around Taohua was uncomfortable. She'd said as much in her last letter to her mother, scribbled hastily with shivering, sleep-deprived fingers. I don't understand her at all. It was like she was mocking me, but for something I couldn't change. I know it sounds petty, but I keep thinking about her and I can't sleep. I don't suppose it's that important in the grand scheme of things, but it must be if I can't stop thinking about it. And then, guilty that her latest letter to her dearest mother was nothing more than a list of grievances she had with Lady Constance, Lady Leonard and the insufferable parlor maid, Lorena, had hastily appended. But enough about that. How have you been? What about Alice? How tall is she now? It's been so long since I last saw her. She must have shot up. Her mother's response had been genial, but quizzical. She opened her letter with some general chit-chat about Ethel and Mary and Alice, which was always a comfort, and then addressed Lorena's issues with the parlor maid, Taohua, or as Lorena had written, because she had no idea how to spell Taohua's name, Tilly, short for Matilda. Taohua was the most un-Matilda-like person Lorena had ever met. Not that there was a set way Matildas had to act, but it would have to do. Tilly was still better than Taohua. Taohua had called her Lori enough. It was tit for tat, really. Well deserved. I'm sorry, dear, but I don't understand the problem, her mother had written. It sounds like Tilly was looking out for you. She might have been a bit harsh, but she wouldn't have said those things if she didn't care. Maybe you two could even become friends. The mere idea was enough to make Lorena snort in disbelief. Friends? Her mother seriously thought she could become friends with Taohua. Maybe Lorena could have become friends with Tilly, whoever that was, but Taohua? There was not a chance. Not a chance in hell. Lorena would rather make amends with Pauline than try and befriend Taohua. At least, that was what she told herself. Miss Amy Varennes was not the first governess Lady Constance had ever had. Neither was she the first governess Lorena had been attending to the needs of the wildly irascible madam, even during the maid's brief 4 months at Bly. Before Miss Amy Varennes had been Miss Lillian Hurst. Lorena didn't remember Miss Lillian in great detail, as she had been fired for some misdemeanor or another during the second week of Lorena's employment, but she could recall, though vaguely, that Miss Lillian had been very tall and very blonde, with piercing eyes. Miss Lillian hadn't seemed like the kind of woman who could be outsmarted by a pint-sized she-devil like Lady Constance. But Lady Constance, despite her mere handful of years spent residing upon God's green earth, could be even wilier than a fox. Before Miss Lillian had been a string of governesses Lorena had never met. Miss Penelope Howard, Miss Catherine Storr, Miss Adrian Spence. None of them had remained in Bly for longer than a year. Miss Amy Varennes was Lady Constance's newest toy. Tutor, rather, and Lorena felt rather sorry for her. She had an even more unforgiving job than Lorena did. Miss Amy was French and hailed from Lyons. She had a fiery red hair, which one would assume denoted a similarly fiery personality, making her out for the ballet, perhaps, or the opera. I'm gonna close my avatar because, I don't know. I'm seeing him spaz out a lot, and I think you guys are better off seeing the PNGs of the female characters back when those are up. Miss Amy was French and hailed from Lyons. She had fiery red hair, which one would assume denoted a similarly fiery personality, marking her out for the ballet, perhaps, or the opera. But it was quite the contrary. Miss Amy was a softly spoken, retiring woman who would sooner have swallowed her tongue than stand upon a stage. Miss Amy was... Okay, I read that. It was unthinkable that such a woman could rein in Lady Constance. Lorena had known it was impossible from the very beginning. Lady Constance would chew her up and spit her back out, but that didn't stop Miss Amy from trying. She tried so hard it was almost heartbreaking. Oh, there you are, maid. Lady Constance pushed her list of French verbs to one side, almost sliding it off the circular table. Miss Amy, as was her wont, caught it before it could hit the floor. You have my mid-morning snack. Indeed, the cook was very thorough in her preparations. I hope for your sake it's something sweet. I can't focus without sweets. They're coconut macaroons, miss. I hope they're to your liking. Well, Lady Constance's snub-nosed wrinkle was evident even before she spoke, though Lorena's offering was not to her liking at all, but perhaps the French verbs had worn even Lady Constance down because she relented. Not what I would have chosen, but they're better than nothing. Sit the plate by my side, please, and don't jostle any of my things. peered at the macarons with a concerning eye, like a master jeweler inspecting a freshly mined diamond. When it came to sweets, young girls had two stomachs. Lorena had heard that said before, and it was certainly the case with Lady Constance. Jesus, you know what? Now that she said that, that really makes me crave, like, a cheesecake with tea combo. I mean, I'm not a young girl with two stomachs, but I very much enjoy my desserts, and I do have two stomachs. I'm just thinking, like, Jesus, I don't know, like, the quality... I heard that there's a certain type of tea that goes well with cheesecake, which I don't have, and I haven't tried before. And I would have to look it up again. I wrote it down somewhere. But, like, I either have to have that, and I have to get a good cheesecake. The bakery near my house is, like, decent cheesecake, but I wouldn't say it's the best. There are better places than they're further away. Her taste in the saturine sweetmeats was unparalleled. I suppose they will do. No wonder, but thank you for taking such good care of young Mademoiselle Lorena. Well, it's my job. Lady Constance took the tongue yesterday from her mouth. I don't know if you realize yet, Amy, but this girl here, Lady Constance just is only a maid. He's nothing stanker. He's probably too stupid to understand. Now you look here. Oh, Mademoiselle Constance, surely you jest. She might be a maid, but she is a hard-working girl, is she not? Well, I wonder. A smile played at the corners of Lady Constance's lips. It was not entirely pleasant. Tell me, maid, what do you do when Reverend Marner's service is finished on Sunday? Well, Lorena shifted. Suddenly guilty, she looked down at the floor and the patterned rug that covered it. I go back to Bly, naturally. You say it's natural for you to come back here, but you're always so very late. I'm not so very late. Silence! We were a quarter of an hour later returning to Bly than the other maids last Sunday, and the Sunday before that. It might not sound like much to a dullard like you, but it all adds up to a considerable amount of time. I didn't realize. Of course you didn't. You've never learned how to do basic mathematics, have you? Lady Constance's eyes roved up and down Lorena's form. Her lip curled. Now let me phrase it in a way even you can understand, maid. You have wasted more than an hour during the last month alone. A whole hour. How do you understand the gravity of your sins? Sins? That seemed a little harsh coming from a tiny mouth like Lady Constance's, for Lorena had no room to argue. Lady Constance had already outmaneuvered her. This is sloppy, slovenly behavior. I won't abide by it. You maids are only allowed to attend church every Sunday out of the goodness of my mother's heart. But you've been taking advantage of that. You're using your faith as an excuse to take time off on our good graces. I never intended to, what you intended is neither here nor there. I imagine you don't even understand what the most perplexing thing about all this is. But what? I spoke to Pauline earlier, and she told me, well, I could hardly believe what she told me. Pauline, was it? Lorena scowled. She couldn't help herself. The mere mention of Pauline's name often had this effect on her. Pauline said you were late returning to Bly because you were going to the post office, of all things. Now, as a lowly, uneducated maid, what purpose is there in you going to the post office? I doubt you can read or write. Well, I know it might seem unbelievable, but I do know how to read and write. Oh? Lady Constance didn't look surprised by this news, surprising though it was. Her face remained calm, like a still puddle of water after a rainfall. It was even more disconcerting than outright anger. And how, pray tell, did you learn how to do that? My father taught me. So your father was a scholar, was he? Not exactly. He was a sailor, but he went to a village school when he was a child, and he learned a little here and there. He was always fond of stories, Robinson Crusoe and the Arabian Nights. He read them to me when I was a child. Oh my, how interesting. It seems we have an undiscovered genius in the house. This whole time, should I have been curtsying to you? Mademoiselle Constance, please, your lesson. In a minute, Amy. I'm not through with Sappho here. What the heck kind of name is Sappho? I don't get the reference, but, you know, it is what it is. Lady Constance's lip curled. Tell me, maid, if you really are so very intelligent, you seem to think, then why don't you help me with my French reading? French? That's right, that shouldn't be too much of a challenge for you, should it? After all, Lady Constance raised her eyebrows. You know how to read and write, you clever girl. But, well, I've never studied French before, and that wasn't a question, it was an order. Come here. Lorena glanced about the drawing room awkwardly, but there was nobody to save her. Miss Amy certainly couldn't. There was nothing she could do. Lady Constance was in a particularly sadistic mood today. French always did this to her. It was no secret that French was Lady Constance's least favorite subject. The fact her new governess was a Frenchwoman herself was no small source of scorn from the young girl. Fearing for her immediate well-being, Lorena hastened to Lady Constance's side. The young girl took a slim volume of French fables from her desk and handed them to Lorena. Lorena took the book and opened it. She stared at the words on the page, but they had no meaning. They might as well have been written in Greek. Well, Lady Constance's devilish smile grew wider. What are you waiting for? Start reading, please. But oh, are you saying La Fontaine is too difficult for you? Well, too bad. I'm still waiting. Well, Lorena cleared her throat. Fingers trembling, her face beat red, she began. La Cigale. I feel like I'm reading it as if it's Italian or something, which is probably wrong, but whatever. Ayat chante, tula et a. Well, Lorena had not gone more than 2 lines when Lady Constance interrupted her. Well, that was terrible, and I thought you could read. Lorena dipped her head, her face burnt bright red. She could read, basic English at least. French was way over her head. Didn't Lady Constance know how unfair she was being? But that didn't sway the young mistress. You see? Lady Constance gave Miss Amy a sidelong glance. If this genius of a maid can't understand Le Fontaine, then I fail to see why I should be expected to. But mademoiselle, French is important. You are expected to understand the gist of the language, at least, so you can integrate more easily into high society. And why should I need to integrate? I'm already part of high society. Dang, you know what? She's raising some good points. Bro, why she gotta integrate, bro? Why she gotta conform to society? Why can't she be an individual, a strong, independent woman? But you know, it's funny because I think they're really trying hard to make Lady Constance a dislikable character that we should hate. But I don't know, I kind of like her attitude, man. I don't know, man. There's something about it I respect. But nothing. I'm tired of these silly games. If you want to teach anybody French, teach this foolish maid. But I have no interest in it whatsoever. And with that, Lady Constance got to her feet and marched out of the drawing room. Miss Amy watched her retreating back, a frown on her face. Oh dear. Lorena was inclined to agree with her. Lady Constance hadn't even tried any of her macaroons. How could she be so selfish? All this talk about pastries is killing me. I wanted to get chocolate cake today at the bakery, but I didn't have quite enough money for chocolate cake. So I ended up getting a dark chocolate bar at the supermarket from a pretty fancy brand. You can afford fancy chocolate but not cake. It's questionable. You figured they'd be the same price, but apparently fancy chocolate is cheaper. Thoroughly humiliated, Lorena stalked down the hallways of Lie with a face like thunder. To be fair, I was only short, literally, some chump change, but that chump change was enough to make me have a change of plans. Why was Lady Constance so unreasonable, expecting her to be fluent in French of all things, and then using Lorena's incompetence as an excuse to escape? It beggared belief. How could one little girl be so very shameless? I think the way that she staged it was brilliant. I don't think we should call her shameless. I think we should say that she is the true genius of the household. Her feet thumped across the carpet hard. By this point, she had worked herself up into such a state she completely failed to notice the presence of another person. Oh? Until it was too late. Lena stumbled, her eyes wide, her fingers slackening. She dropped the broom to the floor, where it struck the wall with a dull thud. Before gravity pulled it back down to earth, it rolled several times before bumping against the side of Lorena's foot, where it came to a standstill. Lorena had come to a standstill too. It was impossible for her to move, even if she had wanted to. Thanks to her thoughts, which always seemed to trip her up, quite literally this time, she had managed to run right into the one person she did not want to run into. Hello, Lori. That was quite the greeting you gave me. Lorena blinked at the older woman with wide eyes. Her eyes were so wide, in fact, it looked like her irises had been swallowed up by her whites. Why, of all the embarrassing things? Are you alright? You look rather flustered. Tired too. Have you not been getting enough sleep? I get more than enough sleep. Well, that's good. One must look after their health. It wouldn't reflect well on Lady Leonard if one of her precious maids collapsed from fatigue. Lorena tried to soothe the stammering of her heart, but that was hard when she didn't know why it was stammering to begin with. And her mother had thought she could become friends with Taohua, or Tilly as she had been termed. If Lorena's mother ever met the woman, Lorena was sure she would change her mind in a heartbeat. It was the only proper thing to do. Lorena inhaled and took a step backwards, then two, then three. 3 steps seemed like a sensible distance to her. It wasn't so very far, she would look foolish trying to continue the conversation, but not so close Taohua's presence could unsettle her. I want to talk to you about something actually. You do? Yes, about what happened a couple of weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, how curious. Did something occur between the pair of us? Taohua blinked, one finger against her lower lip. She was quite the convincing actress. She could have given Emily Soldine a run for her money. Not that Lorena had ever seen Emily Soldine perform. She'd never been to London before in her life. You know something did. Surely you remember what you said to me. Not everything. My memory isn't that good, and this was a while ago. But well, you should know how you made me feel at least. Silly Lori, how could I possibly know how you feel? You didn't tell me. And contrary to popular belief, I cannot read minds. You should have been able to assume, but assumptions can often be wrong. That's why I was hoping to run into you, so I could confirm my hypothesis. What are you, a detective? Unfortunately not. I'm just a mere maid. I thought that much would be obvious. Lorena rolled her eyes. She had told herself she wasn't going to punch Taohua, but the urge was growing stronger and stronger by the second. You are impossible. I suppose I should take that as a compliment. Take it however you want. I don't care. I was under the impression, however, that you might want to apologize. And whatever gave you that idea? Because you upset me. So I did upset you after all. That's what I feared. Yes, you did. You seemed to imply, when you removed that thorn, that I was the one to blame for getting hurt. I was simply trying to help, Lori. You helped me, yes, but you acted like you didn't want to, like I was getting in your way. Well, I never asked for your help. I didn't want it. You forced it on me, then expected me to fawn over you with gratitude. I don't see why I should thank you, and I'm not going to. Lorena scuffed the floor with the tip of her shoe, her face twisted. If you dislike me, I don't know why you poked your nose into my affairs in the first place. We would both have been happier if you let me alone. Honestly, the young maid sighed. All her irritation towards the older woman had accumulated over the past few weeks, like pus inside a boil. Now it finally had a chance to spill out, and oh, how much of it there was. She was even more upset than she had thought. Maybe this was in part because of how Lady Constance had toyed with her not 5 minutes ago. Lorena couldn't take her anger out on the small girl who derived such pleasure from her pain, but she could take her anger out on Taohua. She felt like she had a right to be angry with her. Taohua really was an exasperating woman. I just don't understand you. Evidently. If you did understand me, you wouldn't say such foolish things. So my feelings are foolish, are they? Please, don't put words into my mouth. I never said your feelings are foolish, only that you are acting foolish. You're splitting hairs, there's no real difference. I beg to differ. If you would pause to think, you'd realize that I don't dislike you, Lori. In fact, it's quite the opposite. You act as though you do. You can believe whatever you want, but you're ignoring a few key details. If I hated you, why would I have pulled out the thorn, and why would I have caught you when you fell? It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I don't understand how you think. I bet you only did it to make me feel bad. Oh dear, do I really seem that heartless? To be honest, yes. My. Taohua held her hands together at her front. It was an unusually humble gesture coming from the older maid. It made her seem slightly more approachable than usual. A little less overbearing. I apologize if I hurt your feelings then. It wasn't my intention. Then what was? How did you think I was going to react? It didn't cross my mind, to be honest. You mean you just say things and you don't care about who you hurt? That's even worse. So upsetting people out of neglect is more heinous than upsetting them out of malice? End result is the same, but I suppose we all look at things differently. Lorena bristled. She didn't have time to listen to this woman and her convoluted words. If Taohua truly wanted to apologize, she should have done so, and then let Lorena go. They didn't need to draw this conversation out any longer. It was uncomfortable enough as it was. Right, well, you said your piece, so that should be the end of it. You want to be rid of me? I do, very much so. That's rather sad. You'll recover soon enough, I'm sure. Perhaps, but this is a sorry state of affairs. I realize I've offended you, but I didn't mean to. I just... Taohua frowned. Oh well, I suppose it's all water under the bridge. Fine, I won't talk to you if you don't talk to me. I suppose being ignored is better than being despised. Alright then. Taohua bent down and retrieved the broom Lorena had dropped. Here you go, take it. Thanks. Lorena wanted to sound unconcerned, but she couldn't. For some reason, her voice was trembling. It was further proof she couldn't spend time in Taohua's company. The older maid was far too difficult, maybe even dangerous. Lorena couldn't read her, no matter how she attempted. Taohua's eyes were impenetrable. Her small smile, so well crafted it might as well have been a mirage. Once more, Lorena thought of Emily Soldine. She shook her head. Though Taohua was an accomplished actress, she was no Emily Soldine. She wasn't British. Maybe that was the reason Lorena felt so uneasy in her company. Lorena couldn't understand the older woman, therefore she couldn't trust her. Wasn't that common sense? It seemed logical enough to her. Alright, if you're happy, I suppose I'm happy. I'll try to refrain from making unnecessary comments in the future. You do that. I will, I can control myself. I hope I shall see you later, Lori. Sleep well, Toby. Thanks for hanging out, bud. And Taohua left. Lorena watched as Taohua's long skirts fluttered around her legs and each was dead. It was only some 5 seconds later, when sense had finally returned to her, that Lorena remembered to mutter, "And don't call me Lori." Later that night, Lorena. Yes, Ada, what is it? I'm sorry. Ada shrank back, her head bowed, and for good reason. Lorena's tone was a good deal sharper than usual, and Ada was unused to being addressed so coldly by her closest friend. Lorena sighed, massaging her temple with her fingers. She knew she was being unfair, unreasonable even. Though she had suffered through a remarkably rotten day, it wasn't Ada's fault. Ada had nothing to do with Lady Constance's temper tantrums, Pauline's petty revenge, or Taohua's complex and confusing mind games. Ada was completely innocent. You don't need to apologize. I'm the one who's in the wrong. But, it looked like you were busy. I was busy, but I can always set time aside for you. Lorena put her quill away. She had been in the middle of writing a letter to her mother, but she wasn't entirely sure what to write. Words failed her. Talking to Ada might help put her thoughts in order. What did you want to talk about? Well, it's about the ghost. And you happen to hear it again. It's even worse. Lottie told me she saw it. Well, she did she? Lorena was rather fond of Lancelot. It was hard not to be fond of Lancelot. She didn't regard her as a trustworthy source of information. Lancelot was fanciful to a fault, and she loved both fairy tales and ghost stories. Often she made no distinction between the two. Yes, she was out in the hallways last night, bolting the windows and drawing the curtains, when she saw a what? A figure in the garden. Was it a ghostly figure? She said it was quite ghostly. It wasn't Joe, the gardener? No, Lottie said it was very tiny, just like a child, and it was wearing a long, flowing night dress. Did she manage to look at its face? She didn't get a chance. She was so very excited, she said she passed out for a few moments. That sounds like Lancelot. And when she came to, the figure was nowhere to be found. Very mysterious. Indeed. And Lisa is convinced it was a ghost. I don't see what else it could have been. I mean, it could have been Constance. She seems like the type to wear a long flowing nightgown and be short. Looking aside, she wasn't convinced herself, but she was the kind of person who refused to believe in anything unless she could see it with her own 2 eyes. With a yawn, the young maid began to divest herself of her uniform. She was growing tired and it was a struggle for her to keep her eyes open. As was to be expected, Ada politely averted her eyes. Marina folded her uniform neatly, then put on her nightclothes, where she stretched the fabric strained against her chest. She probably needed a new nightgown. This one was several years old, but she could hardly afford it. I wonder, why would the ghost of a small child haunt the rose gardens of Bly? Lisa said maybe a murder had taken place. Of course she'd think that. Lisa loves drama. Speaking of which, where was Lisa? It was almost 10 o'clock. Perhaps she was with the 2 scullery maidens, and maybe the cook. Aaron so well known she was. The cook had a rare soft spot for the dreamy Swiss maiden, telling them about her close encounter with the supernatural. As for Pauline and Isabel, they had been summoned to see Miss Smith an hour or so ago. Lorena didn't know what they were doing, and quite frankly, she didn't care. Lisa said, perhaps a previous owner of Bly was a scoundrel, and he sired an illegitimate child with a mistress. And then, when he could no longer bear the shame of raising such a child, he murdered her, and buried her body in the rose garden. That's right. Does Liz Law have any proof? I don't know about proof, but she made it sound very plausible. She's a natural-born storyteller. Don't pay her any heed. But the ghost. I'm sure it'll be fine. Don't worry about things too much, Ada. It was probably her magic, but Lorena was unable to complete her sentence. That's because at that moment, Pauline and Isabel entered the room. Goodness, Miss Smith can talk. I feel absolutely exhausted. I always feel exhausted, and my poor hands are frozen. Why do we have to put out the fires? It's such a chore. I barely have enough strength to get changed. I can't undo the buttons of my blouse. To be young again. Pauline cast a furtive look at Lorena. Her lips were curled into a smile. Her eyes were cold and hard. Lorena held her gaze unflinching. Was this some kind of challenge? Lorena knew how Pauline felt about it. And Pauline had been more explicit about her feelings than usual as of late. Comment from a few days hence continues to weigh on Lorena's mind. Slut. You don't realize how lucky you are, Lorena. How am I lucky exactly? You certainly didn't feel lucky. You're still young, not yet in your 20th year. Beautiful rose just right for your picture. Fortunately, I beg your pardon. How long had Effie been in the room anyway? Effie was so quiet, Lorena often forgot she even existed. But when Effie did open her mouth to speak, what came out of it was always invariably the mood looks sad tonight. Bizarre. Putting the moon to one side for now, Pauline's lip curled. You have a bright future ahead of you, Lorena. You're not so very bad looking, and you have a body most men would kill for. Most women would kill for it too. I'm so cold my hands won't stop shaking. It's a waste that you should while away your life employed as a mere maid. Do you not agree? Your pretty hands will start to seize up just like mine. Believe it or not, even when I was young once. Believe it or not, even I was young once. But years upon years of hard work takes it out of you. Lorena narrowed her eyes. Her lips pursed. Excuse me, but I'm not entirely sure what you're trying to say. Why, it's simple. If I was a pretty young thing like you, I wouldn't hesitate to use my feminine wiles as opposite sex either. Especially if it would make my job easy. I don't have any wiles, and if I did, I wouldn't know how to use them. Neither would I want to. That's what you say, but we know better. Giggle, giggle. Lorena's back stiffened. She bit her lower lip. Why were they bringing this up again? It's a pity Lady Leonard doesn't have any hands to make sons. If only she had, that would be your ticket to a better life. Lorena turned her head away. Her cheeks were flushed bright red with pain. I must say, it's brave to try to not make great. Incredibly bold. It's a pity it went so very poorly. I did it! That's what you say, but the evidence is stacked against you. What else were you dismissed from your previous job? Why else were you dismissed from your previous job so abruptly? I don't think Lorena did anything wrong. Shush, Ada, the adults are talking. Yes. Ada looked down at her intertwined fingers, her lower lip trembled. Despite being an adult herself, she was easily cowed. Ada wasn't a girl made for debates. She had tendencies folded in on herself like a stack of cards. So Lorena had to give her points for trying. Still, it's awfully brave of you to try and deny your crimes. Continue going to church. To talk to us like we're equals. To even look us in the eye. You're nothing more than a common whore. First slut, now whore. What next? Keeping secrets was impossible in a place like this. The servants lived far too closely together in their dirty, dusty, draughty quarters. It was only natural the other maids would know. Everybody had heard the rumors about Hartwell, and Lorena's sudden dismissal, and Arthur Pickering. But Lorena didn't like to think about that. Not now. In fact, she was rather shocked to discover she would much rather think about Talhua. Wow. Wow. Now we're getting somewhere with this Yuri stuff. That said, I think I'm going to end stream here for today. It's been a little bit over an hour. We just pretty much reached the hour mark. And I have to start preparing for dinner soon. So thank you for all who joined the stream. Thank you for all who lurked and listened and enjoyed. Hopefully other people will find the VOD and continue to enjoy. And hopefully everybody will be here again next time. I'll probably stream this again next Friday. That is my intention. This coming week is going to be an extremely busy week. Since I'll be working 2 jobs this week, which is not the usual. Usually I just work 1 job. But I should have time on Friday, next Friday, to do another hour or maybe continue listening to my stream. So yeah, take care everyone. Have a nice day.